Well, hello there guys and girls, my name's Mikey and welcome to the unboxing review of the Vibrant Jungle Watercolor Brush Pens art set. And yes, here's my face and here's my room. Now basically those people over at Vibrant Jungle got in touch with me and said, hello Mikey, hello Vibrant Jungle, if we send you our Watercolor Brush Pens art set, would you like to do a review? And I thought, yeah, why not get back into some slightly more traditional medium. I'm a big fan of watercolor in general, but I do spend most of my time working with inks or working digitally, so it seems nice to explore what else is going on. And to be fair, I'm a little bit curious about combining watercolor with pens to get a watercolor brush pen setup. And also, just before we dive into this one, it's worth mentioning that if you like what you see, links in the description below, then those lovely people at Vibrant Jungle have combined with me to give you 10% off of your order. Simply get into the checkout process and type in MEGA, and that's going to shave some money off the top. No, don't worry about it, you're welcome. But if the fact it's not currently discounted on Amazon already, and the fact that there's a discount code from me, also, at the end of this video, I'm going to be running a very short competition where one of you guys can get one of these packs sent to you for free. Again, in thanks to those lovely people at Vibrant Jungle. So basically, that's enough of my face for the moment. I'm going to hop over to this camera right here that you can see and open this up and see what's going on. So basically, when it came in a post, this is what you can expect out of the box. It is the watercolor brush and pen pad set itself. I'm just going to be turning on this ring light that I've got up here just to make things ever so slightly brighter and clearer. You're welcome. But before we dive into this as well, it is worth saying that this is a promotional copy that they've sent me. The guys up at Vibrant Jungle also mention now that there's a PDF download with a how to draw kind of starter process kit as well that you should get included as part of your pack. Now it's coming in this bubble wrap. Oh lovely, there's the art book on the back. Let's take this guy out. And straight away you can see that this is a set which is designed to fit into your school bags or a art kit box fairly conveniently. You've got yourselves 20 watercolor brush pens, one water brush pen, which we'll come back to in just a moment, a watercolor brush pad, thank you very much, and it's perfect for colouring and drawing, painting, calligraphy, and you get vibrant smooth colours with fine, medium or broad strokes. Well, we'll be the judge of that, thank you very much, but I do like where that's going. And also on their website, I did notice that a lot of the promotional information was geared around the idea that watercolour is very relaxing, very therapeutic, it's something to escape into, which I'm all for that. Now, on the back of this, okay, it's just the pad itself showing through the back, so let's open this up at the top and see what's going on. Oh lovely, so all of these pens slide out in their own plastic tray, that's great. There are of course 20 of these bad boys, and then we've got the art pad itself. I'm knocking the camera all over the place, and that's it for the actual packaging part there. So I'm going to put this aside and let's take a look at this guy firstly. It's a watercolor pad, obviously, A5, and 180 GSM, which is grams per square meter. And what that's basically saying is the paper is relatively thick, which means it can soak up a lot of watercolor paint or watery surface without it going too wrinkly, which is a very good idea. I'm probably going to go ahead and maybe have a quick play on this, but also play in my own sketch pad as well, just to kind of work out what these things are like to use when you're working over time. I love reviews where you see all the technical specs of something, but if a person doing a review for a tablet isn't going to sit down and actually do a piece of art, then what's the point, in my opinion? Now, all of these pens are ranging in colour very nicely. To be fair, you're going to expect that out of any pencil or colour set. This guy is what gets my interest immediately. This is their watercolour pen that they're obviously talking about, and it looks like it's literally designed as a eyedropper or squeezer to fit in loads of water liquid, and you're going to use that to maybe mix in and blur up some of your artwork. It's got a very fine looking tip that you can work down to. I'm not sure how focused that's going to be in the camera, but let's put this guy over here for the moment and have a look at one of their brushes. Let's just grab out this cheeky purple. Always give it a sniff. So basically I think what's going on here is it feels like there's some maybe solid watercolor paint material inside the pens, and it's the fact that you're going to action these with a load of water onto a surface that's going to allow it to actually paint out. But I think this is all, by the sound of things, a dry product. I don't know if you can hear it all. There's ever so slightly the feeling that something solid's knocking about in there. And again, these nibs look like they're designed to, oh, in fact no, there is wet material coming straight off of this. In fact, there is actually a brush stroke here that you can get very fine lines out for tip and broader strokes as well. The fact that already it's marking on my hand, maybe these are already what you'd call moisture rich. These are actually probably good to go immediately onto the page. And yeah, I think it's all ready to go with this. So that's pretty great. I'm not sure how these are going to work compared to working with actual natural watercolor paint, but I think we're going to have a little play around right now and then dive into something. Now basically the first thing I'm going to do is give these guys a test run, and I'll use the pad that's included in the kit, which is great because it does mean that you can get cracking straight out of a box. You're not going to have to wait for any other art supplies and things to turn up. And I have filled the water applicator brush with water from the tap as well, and a cheeky paper towel because I'm not really sure what kind of mess, if any, this thing might be making. So I'm just going to start to grab any of these interesting looking colours. The instructions do say to apply the pen as you see fit. Oh, that does actually feel very nice and smooth. And get some relatively thin lines and some relatively large patch. It definitely has a very, very light brush, making sure we stick the cap on straight away. There's no feeling of resistance at all. And if I just give this watercolor application brush a little squeeze so that it's just getting some water onto the nib. Don't know if you can see that working down. I'm just going to see if this one wants to mix and apply the colors across the page. Which, yeah, it does quite nicely. This is a very fine hair brush. Again, very little in the way of resistance, which means you can kind of stroke in fairly widely and fairly loosely across it. I guess the only thing you need to be careful of is that you don't over-contaminate this particular nib with a very dark colour before you try to use it mixing in with a light nib, which is probably where you're going to just want to use the paper towel in play just to take the edge off of things. Now, I'm going to go ahead and have a few more goes with a few different pens on here, but in the meantime what I'll probably show you as well is that I'm just going to draw any old character into the sketchbook, so that I've got like a pencil base from which I can have a go at actually applying a few different of these colours. So here's a nice fairly dark red. Let's dive straight in with that applicator. And one thing you always want to bear in mind when working with watercolours is you do want to work from the lighter colours first, then down to the darker colours without trying to jot too far in between the two, so that you end up with something that doesn't end up getting too greyed out or messy. Let's try this green over here. Okay, I like it, but let's dive straight into the other pen and see how far can I actually bring this out. How much water do I need to apply to this to change up the texture and how it looks and pull it across the page? Not too bad. And let's have a go with one of these darker purples we've got over in the end as well. Again, the actual colour really is quite vibrant. It strokes in very, very nicely. It mixes relatively well, but I think this is more useful probably for blending two colours and two different zones more than anything, as well as allowing you to kind of pull away from mistakes if you've gone a little bit too dark, a little bit too early. So let's actually sit down and see what these things are like to use in a single go. Now, it's been a long time since I've sat down for some colour art painting, and these watercolour pens are a slightly different beast to traditional watercolour painting. The very first and obvious thing is that once you fill up the water brush pen, you're all set to go. There's no other setup, and it certainly makes getting straight back to work more accessible. As mentioned, each of the 20 colour pens contain the liquid watercolour solution that feeds straight out of the brush. The vibrance and saturation of the colours that come out of the brush pens is really high, and it does favour the bold. So if initially you're expecting to follow the more traditional watercolour route of start light and less is more, then you either need to switch to the water brush after laying down a line immediately, or better, pre-treat the surface area that you're working on with the water brush first. Now, on my first go, I dived in with these pens as if they might be working in a very similar method to light colour markers like Copics and so on, and I immediately had to roll back a bit bit on that style. I found that personally it's for watercolour pen, which will be your main application tool throughout a piece after dropping in a little bit of colour, and it's really towards the end of a piece where you have some of the elements to highlight in clear definition that you can apply the pens directly on their own. The brush tips had the odd stray fibre to pluck out, but were otherwise ideal for application. You can get a fine line from the application with the tip without any of the hair splitting out, and you can get a heavier flow with a little more pressure. Now if you want to get a quick saturated area of colour, then you can apply it easily enough, but with a long run of colour it will still patch out a bit after a short bit of brush pen application if you've not got a bit of water at the base. So if you try to fill in an immediate area on a dry surface, you might get a little bit blotchy if you haven't pre-treated. And so after trying my own traditional drawing methods with an entirely new set of tools like these ones, I then decided to apply them in a slightly more graphic manner by basically starting a different piece with a blend of colours used for a character's hair and using that as a base to mix up with a couple of other mediums as well. Now personally I found that using the watercolour pens in this manner gave me far better results when applied more appropriately, and I immediately found them to be just much smoother to use, basically mapping out where I wanted to work, getting down that water layer and applying and blending the colours accordingly. Once you get into the flow of applying the watercolour pens, it does really make for a nice bit of relaxed time out. And oddly, although watercolour is great for expression and creation, I do also partly think that these pens would go quite nicely with a colouring in book. Now as well as this kit, it's worth recapping that you do also get a PDF download with your orders that tell you how to use the brushes and give you a bit of a sample guide work to go with. Overall, if I was comparing these pens to traditional watercolour painting, then I'd say that the lack of working firstly on a mixing surface to precisely measure out how saturated the colour will be with a brush and a drop of water or two slightly hampers the overall range of use that you can have on a piece. However, if you treat these watercolour pens as a tool in their own right, then yeah, they are much quicker and far less messier of a way to get watercolour results when you're on the go straight at your fingertips. Having them in a pen mixed format means they'll probably translate really well for people who want to upgrade or adapt from just colouring in pencils or various marker sets. And I think this is also probably a really good gateway to actually get people in traditional watercolour as well, without seeming too off-putting to somebody who's not used to working with a bit of an easel and brush water set at first. So if you're in the market for trying some colour with your traditional artwork, or stepping up from just some pencils and other things whilst minimising the mess at the same time, then yeah, these watercolour pens are a good way to go. I think if you've got some sort of paint by numbers kit, oddly enough, this would be a really kind of chill method of killing some time. So it goes without saying a great big thank you to those lovely people over at Vibrant Jungle for sending me one of their watercolour pen sets. Link in the description below. And if you'd like to be in with a shot of having one of these watercolour pen sets sent directly out to you from them, then all you've got to do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel and comment in the comments section below. Now at the moment this competition is only open for people in the UK, I do apologise stateside, but the Vibrant Jungle crew are just getting cracking with their watercolour brush pen sets for the UK market, but do aim to be releasing into the States just a little bit later down the line. So I'll be keeping an eye on things from this end and of course announcing the winner sometime next week, so make sure you've got the notifications icon turned on so that you don't miss out. And of course don't forget that 10% off discount code just for you lovely people who follow along with mikeymegamega by simply typing in megamega in the checkout process. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching guys. Today we've been exploring something a little bit different than just tablets. I've been hearing lots of requests to review quite a range of things, so we'll see how we go, and of course I hope you have a lovely week. Take care.